Hi everyone, and welcome to this video. As you ended up here, you probably know that Microsoft introduced a set of hardware limitations for Windows 11 when it was first released that would prevent it from being installed on older hardware. Fortunately, there are ways to work around that, and as Microsoft released a new major version of Windows 11 called 25H2, I will show you in this video how you can upgrade your Windows 11 installation running on a previous version, 24H2, to that latest version, 25H2, when you are on unsupported hardware. There are multiple scenarios that might apply to install or upgrade to Windows 11 25H2 depending on your starting point. To make things clear, I created 3 separate videos covering each of these scenarios. This video is, as I mentioned, about performing an upgrade to the latest version of Windows 11 25H2 if you are already on the previous version called 24H2. If you want to do a fresh installation of Windows 11 instead on that latest version on unsupported hardware, you can use a different method covered in the video for which I will put a card here now and for which you can also find a link in the description. If you are still on Windows 10 or any earlier version of Windows 11 like 23H2 or 22H2, a third method is required for which you can find a card to that video here now and also a link in the description. You can also find a step-by-step written out guide for each of these scenarios on my blog, jensd.be, for which you can find, as you might have guessed by now, a link in the description as well. Windows 11 theoretically requires your machine to support secure boot, have a TPM 2.0 module, and your CPU to be on the list of compatible models. Fortunately, it has been possible since the beginning to work around these limitations. As you are looking to upgrade your existing installation of Windows 11 on unsupported hardware, I guess you are well aware that so far unsupported hardware has been able to run Windows 11 without any issues. Performance is pretty good and similar to Windows 10, updates are working fine, and all in all, everything works just as you would expect. What does require some additional attention is that with each major update, as was the case last year for 24H2, the year before for 23H2, and now as well with the latest version, 25H2, the methods you can use to skip these hardware checks during installation or while upgrading do change a bit and need to be done manually. For this video, I'll be using my Dell Optiplex 9020 again, which I also used in the past to test and play around with Windows 11. As you can see in System About, it's equipped with a 4th generation Intel Core CPU. And currently, I have Windows 11 24H2 on here, which I managed to install using one of the previous known workaround methods. The edition of Windows 11 that is currently on here is the Home Edition. But just to be clear, this method will work equally fine if you are on Windows 11 Professional, in case you would doubt about that. Running the PC Health Check tool shows us that not only the CPU is unsupported, but there are also issues with the TPM version, and I didn't enable Secure Boot either. In short, this machine is definitely unsupported for Windows 11. So let's go ahead now and force the upgrade to 25H2 on this 24H2 Windows 11 system. Let me explain first how we can do this for this version. 24H2 with the latest updates installed is nearly identical to the release version of 25H2. The so-called 25H2 upgrade is actually an enablement package. Basically, it just sets the version number from 24H2 to 25H2 and enables your system to receive further updates. This also means that right after upgrading to 25H2, close after the release date, and you already have all latest updates on your 24H2 system, you probably won't see a lot of changes. Over time, of course, the difference will become bigger and bigger. On an unsupported system, the so-called enablement update doesn't get offered automatically, as would be the case for a fully supported machine. So all we need to do to move to 25H2 is force this step. This can be done by manually running the enablement package. So unlike with 24H2, for example, there is no need to download the full ISO installer. One step we need to do before attempting to move to 25H2 is to make sure that our 24H2 system is fully updated. So the first step here is to go to Settings, then navigate to Windows Update and click on Check for Updates. In here, we need to make sure that all updates are installed and that after clicking on Check for Updates, Windows Update tells us that your system is up to date. As we could see before clicking the button, the screen already told us you're up to date. But after we're clicking the button, some additional updates were found which are now being installed. And after a reboot, And repeating this process, we can see another update was found. So, going through this once might not be sufficient, and more updates might appear in a second attempt or after a reboot. As we really need to have all available updates before we can continue to move to 25H2, this means that you might need to repeat this several times until you see the "You're up to date" message each time after clicking on Check for Updates, at least twice in a row. Alright, we are there. And as you could see, the system for sure now has all latest available updates for version 24H2. Now we can move to step 2, where we will apply that enablement update, also known as KB 505, 41, 56, that will allow us to move to 25H2. To make this easy, I'm hosting a copy of that enablement package on my blog, for which you can also find the link in the description. Of course, you can just download the file from a different source as well. Let's open our browser and navigate to that page and click on the required link to download the file. Now let's go to the Downloads folder and double-click on the file to start the update. Click Yes to continue and wait for the update to complete. It should be rather quick. Once the installation is finished, all we need to do is click on Restart Now to reboot the machine. After the reboot, which also didn't take a long time, the system now should have moved to Windows 11 25H2, which we can of course double check in Settings, System, About. You can see that we still have unsupported hardware, but it looks like the update to 25H2 worked as expected. WinVer shows us the same information. So it looks like the upgrade is a success, and we've upgraded from 24H2 to 25H2 on unsupported hardware. One small thing I would like to cover that I saw coming by a few times in my previous videos is related to Windows updates. As with the previous version of Windows 11 so far and using different workarounds, this is just working exactly as it would be on supported hardware. As you can see, updates are already being found now that we move beyond 25H2, and they install just fine. The only thing that you might need to take care of, most likely in a year or so, when the next major release is out, is that you will probably need to manually push your machine to that new version. I'll definitely follow up on that, and I will keep you updated on this channel. That was all for the video. I hope this will help you to extend the life of your machine. If you have liked this video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Let me know how this worked for you, or if you have any questions in the comments, and make sure to subscribe if you like these kind of videos and want to stay informed. Thanks again, and hope to see you back here soon.